Well, good morning everybody. This lovely lake behind me is Poolsbrook Country Park and I'm here today for the Sunday Open match. The lake looks absolutely beautiful. There's not much wind on it at the moment. There are a different variety of pegs where I could draw today. Peg 1 is over there in the corner. That is where I was last time I was here. I was fortunate enough to win the match off peg 1 on the last match, and that runs through right the way through peg 6 and 7 down into that corner. Then we're in the 20s, and then I could actually draw round that corner around there where it's about 55 meters wide. It's not open water like this, so there could be an opportunity to cast across with a method feeder or a cage feeder for bream or potentially carp, which is one of the fish that I caught on the last match. But there's about 20 anglers here. It's going to be an interesting match because the pole has been dominating because there have been a lot of small fish, but we know this lake is full of skimmers, bream, tench, and there are some carp in here as well. So I'm hoping a feeder approach is, if I get it right, I think it's going to be enough to compete with the pole anglers. So we're drawing at 8:30, just up there under the trees, and because there's so much a big variety of pegs that I could draw today, I think the approach can't really be decided upon until I've actually seen my peg. Good, is it? Don't be number one, please. Not today, not today, not today, not today.
That's right.
No!
Yes, I told you. I told you.
What number, Warren?
26.
Oh yeah, forgot them last time, didn't I? It's 10:30, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I can't actually believe that. I've got to be honest. It's the peg. Peg 1 is the peg that I won off 2 weeks ago, the last time I came here, but I didn't want it. I'll be honest. I didn't want to come here and spend most of the match fishing with a method feeder, and that's what I'm going to have to do really, because there is a very high chance of a bonus fish on that peg. I had a carp on there last time, 10 pound 8. There was a carp caught there the week before. It didn't produce last week. I did get my backup weights, my backup weight on the cage feeder. I'll talk you through all that when I get over there. I've got the longest walk because I'm walking from here. I'm leaving my van here just because it's near to the cafe and the toilets for Dad. So I've got to walk right the way around that other side, and I've got the scales as well. But I'll talk you through everything once I get over there. It's a bit of a unique peg, and yeah, I'm going to have to fish a method as well as a cage feeder as well. So I'm going to get walking over there, and I'll see you at the peg. There we go. Peg 1. Does that mean someone's been swimming in here or what? There we go. There's any wind blowing. As you can see, it's in a corner here. I'll talk you through how I fished here last time, and there were 2 or 3 things that were blatantly obvious facts about what happened last time. The reason for some of that, I don't know, but I can share that with you. There is a slight breeze blowing, but it's not really hacking in. So I've got all that bank there to aim at if I want to go down that route. There aren't any pegs round there. Peg 2 is obviously on my right, but I don't think peg 2 will be in. I did a couple of things last time when I was on this peg that did work, but there were a couple of things that didn't work either, so I'm going to try and stay away from them today. But I'm going to get set up. I've got about an hour. Just in case you do ever come here, there is a car park there, and you can actually back down here and drop your gear off and put your car back there, but I've obviously left my van over there for reasons that I've already said. So yeah, that's it. I'm just going to get set up. I think it's going to be a super simple approach. I'll talk you through all that once I'm set up. So the setup for that left hand bank, the same as last week, is this one. So Horizon Pro distance 12 foot. I've got that coupled with 8 pound Horizon mono. Normally if I was anywhere else on this lake, I would be doing this with braid if I was fishing for bream and skimmers. However, there's a very high chance of hooking a carp. Now I'm just going to show you where the geese have just moved a little bit now. That's something I can talk about later, but basically the spot or the line that I caught on last time was there. If you could just make that out on this camera, it's just off, I don't know what that is, probably 5 meters off that left hand bank, but it's in line with where that tree is overhanging. And the bottom should be alright. It was alright last time. I'll just drag that bomb around. There are lots of rocks in certain areas on this lake, round down the edges, you know, reinforcing these banks, and then it stops so far out, and then it's just a lovely clean bottom everywhere. and that's lovely and clean now. I know it is, like I say, I've fished this before, so I know that's all right. I don't know what that's going to work out at, 38 metres, something like that. I'm just going to have another cast just to make sure, especially while those geese aren't there, because when the geese are there it can make casting very, very tricky. There we go. Count there of about 2 seconds, if that, probably less than that, 1.5. That's lovely and smooth there. I did fish this with braid last time with an up and down 5 metre leader, but when I did hook that carp it was horrible playing it, I'll be absolutely honest. So I'm going to do that with mono today. And that's it. I'll go to the sticks now, find out exactly what that range is, and then I've got a point of reference if I've got to take my clip off or anything. It's 36, 38, 40, 41 metres, that exactly 41, so that's my point of reference. And on that stem I'm fishing a free running open method feeder, and on that I'm going to fish, I could probably get away with a 20 gram, to be honest. That's 20 gram. I think last time it was quite windy last time, I had to step up to a 30, so I've got a 30 there ready to go, and that's it. That's that rod sorted. Now it's the next one that could be a little bit tricky to find somewhere to fish, but let me just get that other braid rod out. Now I'm only really going to need one more rod. I am going to set a third one up, but I'll show you what that one is in a minute. Just a super nice soft Horizon Pro Slim, 11 foot, that's the key issue, and it's a nice soft rod. I've got, this one's actually got an XR reel on it with braid, 0.10 submerged braid, and it has got a shock leader on it. There we go. So this has got a free running rig on it, and it's got an up and down, or a 5 metre leader basically. It's got a free running rig on it. This is the one that I'm going to be using for fishing with a cage feeder, targeting everything. But I'm going to be using this rod to target fish on 2 different lines. Now what I want to do with this one is, basically I want to fish just past the rocks. So the rocks on most of these pegs here finish around the long pole range. However, I did have a bit of trouble finding that area last time, and it wasn't until I got out to about 20 metres, 22 metres, something like that, before I found a spot that felt clean enough to fish, which was a little bit too far out for my liking, and I never actually had a bite there all day. However, I did catch short, and that's a line I'm going to put in today, but I'd really need to find a spot that's nice and clean. So all I'm going to do is I've got a bomb in my left hand, got my obviously bail arm open, and basically I caught some small fish there, but the bottom wasn't very nice. See there, look, that's got hung up straight away. Obviously if you're pole fishing on these pegs it's different, because you just plumb around and find a spot, but when you're feeder fishing it's a bit different. I actually caught on line with that red box there, but even there it wasn't very clean, to be honest. I kept getting hung up. See, look, that's gone straight into something there. I didn't lose any tattle, but they are rocks that are just a little bit too messy to fish over. So I'm going to spend a little bit of extra time today to find a clear spot or an area that is clean enough to fish, because this is such an important line on this lake. See, that was still rocky, but that seemed a bit better. So I'm going to spend about, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes just trying to find a spot where I can fish this. So I found a spot there that I think it's much better than what I found last week. It's just short, it's about that much shorter than 14 metres. It's in line with some reeds out there, so that feels as though it's going to give me a chance to have that sort of long pole line in. Found a spot short, that's with the conventional feeder rig. However, I've got one more rod set up, making it my third rod, and what I've actually got here is I've got the XRS light feeder, as you can see, and that's coupled with an Aquas Ultra 3000. Again, I've got 8-pound Horizon line on there, and that is with a open method feeder. And this is just going to give me the option to drop a method feeder on that, well, either one of these other 2 lines as well, because sometimes little tiny perch can be a problem on here. If you're fishing with pinkies, maggots, worms, sometimes when they move in, that's it, that's all you can catch, and you're not going to win anything with them, so especially on a feeder. So by having the option of a method feeder to go over the top of it, it can be one way of picking out better stamp skimmers and bream. You know, it did work well here last autumn, which is when I first came here. So that's it, I've got that clipped up now, that's all ready to go. So I'm just going to sort some bait out. I've got a bit of everything, but the peg may determine to me which baits I'm actually going to be feeding and how. So basically the ground bait here is F1 green, so that's 100% mix of that, just on its own, F1 green. As you can see, got plenty of that. Pellets, I've got, these are F1, you can use your own pellets here. In case you're wondering why I've got so many, you know, I would never use that many normally, but I've got the potential of feeding these on 3 different lines today. It could be short, my long pole line, or the method feeder line, so that's why I've done extra, just in case I've got to feed on all 3 lines. I've got some maggots, these are just dormant, these have been bagged up so they're not moving. I've got some pinkies here that I'm about to open, they will come round, I've got the option of those on the hook, and then I've got some casters as well. Don't know if I'll be feeding casters or not. And then I've got worms, as you can imagine. This is a bream venue. I carry all my worms and store them in this tub. That I can keep up to 1 kilo in that, and that just goes in my fridge. Super nice and clean and simple. I've got a few worms in there. I'm not going to feed too many to start with. They don't always want worms on here, but that's an option. So I'm going to start off feeding quite simply, but obviously if small fish are there, if there's lots of little perch there, if I end up fishing for bigger fish, whatever I'm feeding or whatever combination may change. It just depends on, you know, the way that it's fishing. But I have got a few concerns, I've got to be honest with you, because there's no wind. Last time I was here, the wind was blowing into this bank, so I think that's definitely going to help on those shorter lines, but who knows, who knows. So I'm just about ready. I'm just going to get bait tray sorted out, sort some feeders out, get some hook lengths ready, and then I'll talk you through how exactly I'm going to tackle it. Well, that sun's out now. It's not actually on me at the minute because I'm behind this tree here, which is keeping it a bit cooler, but I'm not really liking the conditions. I'll be absolutely honest with you. You know, like I said, I caught a few here last time, but that wind was blowing in, it was overcast, it was a little bit cooler than this, but it's flat calm now. The sun's breaking through. It's just with this being in a corner, I've just got a feeling it could be hit or miss, feast or famine. On days like this, I'd much rather be on the, you know, the pegs where it's a bit more open. But anyway, so the bait tray. I've talked you through most things. In here, I've got, that's my combination of ground bait, those pellets that you've seen on the ground bait. That is 50-50. I've got my ground bait there, that's the F1 green. Over there I've got the pellets, so if I do want to go down just a pellet route on the method feeder, I've got that option as well. I've got my maggots there, casters, drink of water, I've got plenty of drink in there, and then I've got a selection of different wafters there. I've got a few pinkies there, they're just old pinkies to be honest, that I will only use on the hook if I'm going to use them. I really don't plan on feeding pinkies, because last time I did that it brought in those tiny perch, and you know, I'm not going to win anything with those on the feeder. That's it. Good luck, lads. So that could be interesting. So all I've got here is a nice little 15 gram side weighted cage feeder, and all I'm going to do is just put, I'm not going to put a lot in, I'm just going to feed this, I'll call it a 14 metre line, but it is a fraction shorter than that. It's a little bit shallower here as well. I'm going to put a tiny bit of worm in. I wasn't going to, but I am going to. And as you can see there, I've got a few casters in there because I just want these to stay on the bottom. I'm not starting on this line. Shake that ground bait out. I'm just going to put two in with feed. That one was just ground bait. I'm going to put 2 in with feed. See how much bait I've got in there. Just clean that off. Just only lightly squeeze that ground bait because it is a little bit shallower here than some of the other pegs on this place. Just done that so a little bit of cloud comes off. Just want to try and draw something in. But like I said, I'm not going to be on this line for a while. I can keep topping it up if I'm going to be staying on the method line. Hopefully I am, because that means I'm catching, and if I'm catching on that, the chances are they're going to be a good stamp as well. Put one more in with feed. I've never really worked out the best way of feeding on this place. It just seems as though you've virtually got to feed nothing, you know. But when you're not on a line, because I'm not going to be fishing this line, you know, you feel as though you've got to feed something. It's different if you're fishing it, because you obviously keep plopping that feeder in, don't you? So now I'm just going to put a couple in on this short line. Put quite a few casters in there. Just want this to lay on the bottom. I don't know if you're going to catch on this short line. I just don't know. You know, there isn't any wind, as you can see. Right, where's my marker for this one? It is there. But I'll just keep it alive, because this is one of those lines that might not work until the last hour or half hour even, but sometimes it can be a line where you catch a couple of late bream on it. It doesn't take much just to keep it alive, does it? Keep feeding it. Tiny bit of worm in. And that's it. Get that method feeder out there. I'll have to pick my spot between the geese as well at the minute, which is good. I haven't even got a hook length on this rod yet. That's it. That's that done. Get that method feeder out there. We'll start on that combination of ground bait and pellet to start with. I've just got a micro wafter on there. Size 14 carp method hook. Like I said, I can't see anybody. I've still got that 20 gram feeder on. I've got a 30 grammer ready if that wind gets stronger, or if I feel I need to step it up a bit. Just hit my clip back a little bit there, so I've got a couple of turns of line on the reel before the clip. If I do hook a carp, set that stopwatch, and we'll just see what reaction we get from this. One of the lads has just had a walk down before the start. He had a walk down that bank, and he says usually when that sun's out, you can quite often see one or two carp along that edge, along that banking. But he says he hasn't seen any today. And I've also just been told that the other lake, which is the one that they usually specimen fish, just over there to my left, is currently closed at the minute. So a lot of the carp anglers have been fishing on this lake, and they've been fishing this peg. And there was someone on here yesterday fishing somewhere out there for proper carp. So it sounds like this peg may have had quite a bit of bait gone in on it over the last few days. I don't know, but obviously that's only from the carp side of it. But we don't know if anybody's caught any. We don't know. So it's just something to bear in mind. Like I said, last match I spent 4 hours on this, not in one go, but I spent 4 hours on this for one carp and one skimmer about a pound. So I think I should have maybe just had a couple of casts each time, maybe, you know, like 2 10-minute casts, for example, and then rest it, you know, come off it. Let's just drop back. That looks like a skimmer. That's a skimmer or a bream. That's been out there 2 minutes 30 seconds. That's encouraging anyway. There aren't any geese there at the moment either. I mean, with this bright sunshine, it may mean, it might help, you know, it might keep them out of that really shallow water, keep them down onto that line where I'm fishing. I don't know. Oh, a fantastic start. Well, that's the type of accident fish I expect, or I thought I might catch more of last time. What a brilliant start. But I thought I would have caught more of those last time, having spent 4 hours on this line. But I didn't. So even if I don't, even if I don't catch a carp, if you keep catching accidents like that, when potentially you're only going to need 15 or 20, thank you, 15 or 20 pound to win the match, you know, you can tick over nicely. Well, I've got to repeat that again, haven't I? See, the geese are there now, so that's going to make it tricky. Let's just get this feeder loaded up and click £2 for that one, just to make sure there aren't any net limits as such here. There we go, the geese are just going to move out of the way for me. They're chasing a goose that's got some bread in its mouth. Oh dear, there aren't any birds flying around here. I'll try and get this line down now, out of the way from these geese. They're going to go right over my line now. That could potentially ruin that cast. Look at this. This is what you've got on this peg. Look at this lot. They're all chasing one goose that's had a load of bread in its mouth. I don't know if any of them geese have moved that feeder or not. That line literally had only just landed on the surface of the water. But hopefully it's not moved the feeder. I've got to fish it out, even if it's just to make sure that the feeder empties right where it is. Don't really want to go spreading bait everywhere. I think that must be down now. I'm not going to leave this one too long, because I'm not sure if that feeder's been moved now. That's just moved then. That's a little fish. Do you know, I just tightened up to that, and I thought I wasn't sure if a goose had got it around its leg. I've just wound that off. That was probably a little roach, which is not great. But that's the downside to fishing with small wafters like this. Yeah, that wasn't ideal, was it? There's geese right on that same spot where I'm about to cast. That's not good. That's bang on where I'm going. Come on, geese, give me a break. Just go 1 metre one way or the other. Go on, keep going, that's it. By the time this gets out there, if I cast it right, we should be all right. Yep. I'm just trying to do that so I've got 2 or 3 turns on my reel. That's why I'm hitting the clip where I am. Because if I do a hook or carp, I am clipped up, and by having 2 or 3 turns on your reel, by the time you couple that with the stretching the line, it should give me enough time to get the clip off if I've got to unclip. Well, it's just coming up to the 40-minute stage, 38 minutes. I'm going to make this my last cast on this. I don't want to do what I did last time and just spend ages and ages flogging it, hoping I'm going to catch something. So I had lots and lots of quiet spells. I'm getting the odd, see, that's a tiny little indication. I think there are one, obviously that could be anywhere between here and the feeder, but I'm confident that there are 1 or 2 fish milling about over there. There might only be little skimmers, I don't know. I haven't had any big liners or anything like that, but every now and then there's a tiny little indication, but it's not turning into fish. So I'm about a minute away, well, a minute and a bit away from the 10-minute mark. I've been having 10-minute casts, and if I don't get anything when it gets to 10 minutes, I'm going to bring this in. I'm not going to top it up because obviously I've just had a cast out there, and so I'm leaving some food out there. I'm confident that there's still some food out there, and I'm going to have a look on this 14-metre line. I don't want to leave it too long. I left it a long time last time. And the thing is with that, you don't have to been and gone, you know. We might have had fish on that 40-metre line straight away. They may have eaten everything and then gone again, you know. I don't know, so that's why I want to have a look on it instead of just blindly topping it up. But I'm going to fish this out, give this chance. There isn't anywhere near as much activity today as what there were last time I was here. Last time I was here, it was a Sunday, 2 weeks ago. It was just a lot more busy over there. And I think what's happening is, I think the geese are actually staying on the path. Whereas last time I was here, when there wasn't any people over there feeding the geese, they'd come back down into the water and sit on the water. And so they were forever backwards and forwards, and they were spending a lot more time on the water, and that's not happening today. Whether that's going to have an impact or not, I don't know, but there's nothing I can do about that. I've got ducks eating my bait behind me. That's 10 minutes there. Do you know, on the last cast, yeah, that was a snag. There was something there, a branch or something. See, that's not going to help, is it? If you're thinking your rig's sat amongst twigs and branches and stuff. So I'm just going to put that down now. I'm confident I've left some pellets and ground bait out there. And we're just going to have a look on this short line. I haven't put a hook length on yet, but I'm going to do that now. First thing I want to do is just top this short line up. A few maggots, some casters. When I say short line, my short line, 5 metre line if you want to call it that. Put 1 feeder full in on that. Keep that topped up. So hook length wise for this one, fishing for anything. There is a barbless, it's a barbless hook rule here. So I'm going to be using one of our F1 commercial hooks. Size 16, there we go. F1 commercial, or commercial F1, depends which way around you look at it. So I'm going to leave the hook length at around 55 centimetres, it's something like that where it works out at. What I can do is I'm going to scale that feeder down as well. I've got a nice 15 grammer here. The one I topped up one was that one, but it's 15 gram. I'm just going to step that down to, it is a 15 gram, but it's actually 2 hole. Obviously I'll be able to get to my range where I'm fishing easily with that. I'm just going to put a couple of pinkies on. I'm a massive fan of fluoro pinkies on venues that are hard, just because I just think they stand out a lot. These aren't very fresh, I'll be honest with you, but there are enough fresh ones in there for the hook. I don't intend on feeding them. That might change. So, right, put a few freebies in there. I'm not going to put too many in because I don't know if there's any fish there. If there are fish there, I can step up my feed, you know, and feed to my bites. This rig, I'll just quickly show you, it's just a free running rig, as you can see. Snap link swivel, and then I've got a rubber stopper there. Simple as that, nice free running rig. Up and down leader. I have to remember where my marker was then. I've got to be quite accurate on this one because there's only that, or it appears to be only that one little spot where I can really fish properly in between the rocks. Yeah, that's hung up. That's caught up straight away. I don't know if that was the feeder or the hook length. It was the feeder, I think. The hook looks all right. So that spot where I thought it was all right, it's still very messy. I'm just going to go slightly to the left this time from where that last cast was. Like I say, in there I've probably got 4 maggots. That's all I've got in there, and a couple of casters. Right, so I'm going to go this time slightly to the left. See if we can find a clear spot there. I'm watching the time, you know, all the time because it's so easy on this venue. It's one of those venues where, you know, like the start that I've had, you get, you know, a big skimmer, nearly £2 or whatever it is, straight away, and you think, well, getting £15 today, I'm going to tick over nicely. But then you can go, that was a fast knock then, but then, yeah, little fish. And that was just to the left of where I was. Might be one of those little perch or a roach. Yep. Well, I don't really want those. Those are the fish that a lot of the lads on the pole, the short pole and the whips, a lot of them fish with a whip here. You know, and they're fishing 3 and 4 metres, and they'll catch they'll catch 200 of those, and that's how they get the weight. But I like to come and try and figure out how to catch the, you know, the better stamp fish, because there are plenty in here if you get the right approach. Like I say, when you're normally looking for a target of between 15 and 20 pound, everywhere you sit on here, you know, you think it's capable to get that. I mean, my first cast today was nearly £2, so, you know, if you can just tick over catching those every hour or every, you know, and if you've got any other bigger bonus fish mixed in, you know, there are bream 3-pounders, you know, that's how you can build your weight up on the feeder. So it's just going to tell me now if there are lots of them little fish there. If they are, you see that was it. Yeah, they are. You see, I don't really want to be catching these on that line. It's all right if you're catching them, and then every now and then you get an 8-ouncer, you know, a big skimmer or something. That's why I've got the option of the method feeder. You know, I can put that on that same line and fish with a, you know, something like a wafter or something that's more selective. Because I think them bigger skimmers are there. So yeah, the roach there certainly coming to that double dead red. Fraction bigger. Drop that back on that same spot. That was a quick rattle then. So it looks like there are small roach there. Yep. Can have a couple more drops in on this just to give it the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, very small fish. Not any signs of any better fish at the minute. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to 14 metres. I'm going to shorten that hook length and see if we can find a better fish over the next 5 or 10 minutes. Roach. Yep. No, I don't really want those. Those are the fish that a lot of the lads on the pole, the short pole and the whips, there are loads of those tiny little roach on the 14 metre line and at 5 metres. I've just had a spell fishing with wormhead. I've started feeding some worm. I've shortened my hook length anyway, just to see if I can find another stamper fish, and I just can't, you know. And the more that I'm casting in, the more they're coming into that ground bait. So I've literally just picked the method feeder up now. So I've just cast it. Look, they're even having a go at that. Now, they could be roach having a go at the wafter. You know, it's just a big rattle. Then there could be skimmers there. I don't know, but that's why I've got this rod set up. I'm going to leave it. I mean, that might have just disturbed the feeder and everything. I've got a combination of ground bait and pellets around the feeder at the minute, with just a micro wafter on. So I'm going to recast this. See, that's locked up. I've just had a quick word with the lad at the next peg, and I think he says he's had 4 skimmers. He's had 3 on the feeder, and he's had 1 on the pole. He's currently fishing the pole now, just close in, about 4 metres. He says he's got 60 fish, 60 odd fish, but they're all literally that big. He says he's got about £3. So it's not fishing very well at this bottom end, is it? I haven't been any further, you know. I don't know what they've caught elsewhere, but my £2 isn't that bad. Can't believe how hard it is, but I'm just going to see what's happening on this line now, just to see if those small fish are there. In fact, they are. Look, yep, straight away. I don't know. It's one of those. Do you just get your head down on these and hope you're going to get a bonus fish mixed in, or do you edge your bets and stay on that method feeder, you know, and just try and be a lot more selective? But I can't believe I had one first cast and then I haven't seen a sign since of a skimmer or a bream. Well, this has been out there just coming up to 6 minutes on that long line, and I haven't had any indications whatsoever. And I was literally just thinking about going on that 14 metre line, and out of the blue it's just gone round and I managed to find a bream. Why ever I haven't had more indications on this, I do not know, but I mean, that's a lovely stamp fish, that one, isn't it? That's what I thought you'd be getting odd one off. I just can't believe how quiet it is. You know, usually, even if you stick on a method like this, you're getting, you know, you might just catching the odd skimmer. They might only be 8 ounce, it might be 10 ounce. That's it. Done. So yeah, it's been an interesting match. You know, it's been one of those where obviously conventional tactics have really just brought in hordes of small fish, which are the wrong fish on a feeder, to be fair, unless you're getting the odd bonus fish. It'll be interesting to see what has been caught up to my right on the pole, and it'll also be interesting to see if there are many bream or big skimmers being caught anyway or anywhere. So that'll definitely shed a little bit more light on how it's actually fished. So I'm going to get some gear packed away. I'll give you a bit of a download once I get up there, once I've seen the weights and stuff, just to give you a bit of a feedback on how it's gone once I've seen the other weights. So I'm going to get some gear packed away and I'll see you up there. Let's make it 3, get some more, get some water on them. Shallot, oh camera, so all pole anglers can come. Get them.
What money?
Is it bait, yeah?
Oh really?
What you got?
Well, that's just only moan.
Get them tension, get them beautiful about. Get them beauties. Well, I'm sure you'll agree that there were some absolutely fantastic nets of fish there, all pole weights. The top 2 weights over there, the 21 pound and the 20 pound, were caught. Everything was caught on a pole. Those lads haven't even brought a feeder rod with them. So that tells you about how difficult it's fishing at the moment for the bream and the big skimmers. They're just not feeding. Obviously the peg-off drones determined a lot about the way that I fished today. Bit disappointing to draw that peg today, just because I wanted to fish a different way, but unfortunately I didn't get the bonus fish that I wanted. Interestingly, the lads that have caught on the pole, they've caught hundreds of fish, but they've also said that, you know, they had to commit to it for the full 5 hours. If you don't do it for the full 5 hours, you're not going to get the weight or the numbers that you need, unless you're going to be fortunate enough to get any bonus fish. So it's been an interesting match. We're looking forward to coming back here all the way through summer. If you've enjoyed this one, please give it a thumbs up, as always. So thanks for watching, and I really look forward to seeing you next time.